How are you? How are you? How are you? The stream was waiting for me again. Now, good morning to everyone. I'm also just checking to see whether the stream's running. Give it time. There we go. It is kicking in. Now, today is the first of the show's slightly different format. What I'll be doing today is I'll be saying good day for the first few minutes, and then we're going to kick into actually doing something. I've had a lot of people say they love the format the way it is. I've had a lot of people say, Dave, I'm coming in halfway through the show because, you know, quite honestly, saying hello to everyone around the world is taking up too much of my time. I'm slowly dying here waiting for something to actually happen. Now, I think that's probably fine, unless, of course, it's actually you that I'm saying hello to. So let me say right at the beginning, hello to everybody, and I'll address a couple up here. We've got Angler 1262, Warren H, all looking good, and there's probably going to be a few more pop in as well. Now today, I'll tell you the project that I'm going to do. I'm going to try and actually build a full project on the show. Now, this is what I want to do. Now, I don't know if you can see that. Is it coming up yet? It is basically a stand for test tubes. Now, why would I want to do that? This is the test tube style thing that we're going to do in it. It is spring in Australia, and hence it's spring, and my wife and I are keen gardeners. We're going to make, we've bought 10 of these little test tubes on the web, and we're going to make a stand to support them, and we're going to use them for striking cuttings. Now, this might be something you're interested in doing, it may not be. I'm also going to have a chat about a couple of the other things, but you'll be able to follow me along on the process of how I do things. Now, this is the first bit. I will draw a picture. I don't know if you can see it terribly well or not, but that's the plan that I'm going to follow. Now, before I jump into that, what I will do is let you also know that I have a couple of the moderators are going to help me out today. Now, what they're going to do, apart from, you know, keeping the show nice and get rid of trolls, what we're going to do is they will be reading the streaming, or sorry, the chat. Now, if they see something in the chat that's going to be a point of interest, as in a question about how to do something, and my knowledge is only so much. I don't know how to do everything. Some people get surprised by that, but it's true. Sorry to let you down. They will send me a message off the side somewhere, and I'll be able to see that and address it. Now, the thing is, this is our first day doing this, so we're trialing it and see how it goes. So as I say, I'm not going to be jumping in and answering all the chat that's coming up right at the moment, even though I am reading down through it. Test 1, 2, 3. See, there's one of the moderators has just come in and put in a test thing, so I saw that straight away. See how we go. Now, before I do the actual project, which is that striking thing. Now, I know that a lot of you out there will enjoy doing this, and if you don't do it, well, maybe your wife would like to try doing something like this. Now, there's some reason behind why we're going to make it the way we are, and I'll explain that as we're going along. But first of all, let's jump in and have a look at what's happening here. Now, I'll jump. Ian Kerry's is the first picture I've got here. Now, Ian has sent this picture in to me, and he's saying, "G'day, Dave. Good, thanks, and yourself." Yeah, good idea, Ian. Having set up the new K5 on its own baseboard and used it to build a version of your rolling cabinet, I thought I would like to share a photo of the jig at work. Working on the drawers today, and when completed, the cabinet will become home for my DeWalt D125 radial arm saw. Cheers, Ian. Now, you'll notice just behind that tall piece that's in the K5 is the rolling cabinet. And a lot of people have asked me, they say, Dave, how do you do these things out of melamine particle board without them smashing to bits and falling over? Now, you'll see on the bottom of the rolling cabinet where the casters are mounted to on that particular one that Ian's making is a piece of 3x2, or would I say 70 by 45 millimeter radiata pine. And that's a frame that goes all the way around, so it's supportive of both sides. I personally, what I do also is I let the sides in sometimes by about 2 millimeters and do a rebate or a rabbit, depending on which side of the Pacific you're on. And it works well. So it'll be interesting to see this project when it's totally finished. But that's a nice looking board that he's put the K5 on. It's got a nice trim around it. It's something that you can all do. It's very, very easy, and it's a lot of fun. And there's so much reward from doing something for yourself. I get such a kick out of it. Like this Stanton bench. I keep on harping about the Stanton bench. I love it. It's so easy to use. I've got it set up here at the moment. I'll use it probably a little bit later on during the project. But that stationary deadman, half the joy of doing this is thinking it out. I had so many different ways of securing it to the skirt on the bench, and I started thinking about this probably around a week ago. Was when I first got the idea for it. And then every night, go to sleep, wake up the next morning, you think, scrap that, let's move on and do it a different way. And this is the result of all of those plans. And I thought, right, this is the simplest way to do it, and it works so well. I've got the point of connections right at the end of the bench, so that means that I've got full leverage of whatever I'm putting in against the bench to be held. The only thing that I'd probably do is I would move that foot, the rockler foot, the bench cookie and the riser leg along one more position. I might move it along 96 millimeters towards the end. You'll probably see that I won't change it in the plans, but I may do it here because it just gives it a little bit more, because I found the other corner of the bench I had to put a clamp on, holding it down to the table, because it was just slightly starting to unlift. Now that's a door that weighs around 45 kilos or 50 kilos that was doing that to it. So it's a strong little idea. All right, what's the next thing? Next thing, as I say, we're going to punch through all of these things, and here's an interesting one that Steve Innes sent up to me. How cool is this? Now you're going to look at it and go, well, what's wrong with that, Dave? And what you'll do is you'll have a look at the special price, the clearance price, and what's the recommended retail? Oh, it's the same. Now, doesn't that tick you off if you see retailers doing this kind of stuff? It's crazy. It's insane. I don't know why they do it. You know, do they just think that we're idiots? So that was a bit of fun. Thanks to Steve for sending that in to me. Now, you'll know how nice and tidy I like to keep my workshop. And the day before, I spent a lot of time rearranging. Can you see that? Can you see all the way down there? I like to keep things tidy if I can. Now that is just me. That's how I am. Now, I think the moderators might have a little question to answer there. Where can you find the plans for the bench? I think they might be in the description box below this video. If you have a quick look there, or you watch the video for the bench that I've done, which all you got to do is check the description boxes, and you will see I'm normally putting the link in there. It says plans for the Stanton bench, and there's a link, and you get them from my Etsy site. So if you want to get them, by all means. They've been very, very popular. Now, I was talking about having a very tidy workshop. Have a look at this person. This person's name is Stuart West. And he tells me, let's see if I've got any story from him. Hi, Dave. She who must be a babe graciously allowed me to watch some of your live show this week for the first time. What an amazing job Ben and his colleagues do with those in need. If everyone had that spirit, the world would be a much nicer place. Now, that's Ben Futrell that he's talking about from last week. And, yes, Ben doing the angel flight is fantastic. That's such a selfless thing. I think that's wonderful. So let's keep moving on. You wanted photos showing where your devotees are watching from, and I know this wasn't quite what you meant, but the attached photo shows the command center where I view most of your videos. Have you ever seen such a mess? Do you think it might explain why, after 25 years, I still live part of the time 5 miles away from her? I've been building a decent workshop in her garden this year just to house all my stuff and give me a place to work so I can finally move there permanently. The photo doesn't even show the Dexian racks behind my chair, which house most of my kit and things that might come in useful. It's amazing how much you accumulate over 50 plus years. So you never have to feel bad about making a mess again. Funny thing is that I'm fanatical about a tidy workshop. Just weird. Hope you had a good laugh. Well, yes, that's very, Very interesting. Okay, and the last one we'll throw in. Let me see. The last thing I've got there is Greg White. Now, Greg is going to do a little video, and let me have a look. But he sent me a teaser, so we'll throw this one over. This is Greg. Hi, Dave. Teaser photos. First two show framing above the window to mount head of air conditioning unit I've been given. Was in the house my daughter and a boyfriend bought and renovated. Obviously, previous owner was a smoker as it's covered in tar. Does anyone know how to clean it off? The second two are clamp racks on the door of the bike cupboard. As I have limited walls, you'll note the doors line up nicely now thanks to your previous advice. Third pair show melamine carcass in my shelves that will hold 6 small drawers. Tomorrow's task. And yes, I drilled 24 Craig pocket holes in the wrong edge in the uprights. Cheers from Greg. Now that's something that happens to all of us. So thank you for that, Greg, for throwing yourself at the mercy of everyone. Now that is all of the viewers' input for this week, and if you want to send some stuff to me, that's great. It's heartwarming to see some of the compassionate things that we get up to. You know, people just think blokes are blokes, and don't care and don't have any emotion. I think still waters run deep with a lot of us. I know they do with me. You know, I'm passionate about a lot of things, and woodworking is one of them. And other things, if I can help people, I love to help people. That's why I do this show. Now, what we've got to do now is remember, if you're watching and you haven't checked the new format, this is a little bit different. I'm not really saying hello to everyone as they're posting a g'day to me. By all means, I'm saying hello, hello, hello to everyone right now. I'm not going to pick up individuals' names. I've got the moderators are working in the background. They will answer questions that are just basic questions. And if there's a question they think needs to be flicked over to me, I will answer it. They'll send me a message and I'll get into it. So the first thing we're going to do now is, seeing it's nearly 1:15, this thing here. See this big chunk of cypress? There's an old screw embedded in it, so I'm going to cut that off first with the Capex. Now, people wonder why I say Capex. It's probably not the correct pronunciation. Seeing there's only one P in Capex, it should really be pronounced Capex. I guess it's a carryover from me with my camera gear, which is Nikon. Now, in the States, you guys would call it Nikon, because there's only one K, which makes the vowel an ordinary vowel, not a short vowel. So if there was 2 Ks, it'd be I for Nikon. But the thing is, Japanese can't say I. They can only say I. So they call it Nikon, Nikon. They don't spell it 2 Western spellings. So there you go. That's an interesting little thing. I call it a Capex because that's all I've known it as. So my get out of jail card there is I blame the Japanese, even though it's a German tool. That's weird, isn't it? All right. Okay. All right. You guys are doing well with the chat. This is fantastic. Look, guys, if you think this is any better in the format, please pop a comment up. Let me know. And as I said before, if you send an email to davestantonfans@gmail.com suggesting things that you might like to see on the show, by all means, jump in and do it. I will not be able to do all of them, obviously, but I will try and address whatever you can. Here we go. Let's get stuck into actually making something. Now, you'll see here, I put a circle around a broken off screw in this cypress. This is one of the old posts from the deck that I renovated earlier. So now I'm going to cut that section off. But what I've done is I've made sure I've got enough cable on here for you guys to stay in the action with me. How's that? That is pretty cool. Now, also this week, I'm going to be very, very safety conscious and wear the gear. Because last week, I was given a bit of curry about it all. So I'll put the headset on because I understand that people are watching what I do And they're probably going to just jump in and say, you know what, I saw Dave do this on his channel, and that's why I'm doing it. So if you see me wearing a respirator, do it. It's not really that hard. And the earmuffs under here, and I'll open this blast gate up under there. That one's open and that one's open. Now for people that don't know, I've got 2 dust extraction systems working for the Capex. So I said Capex. So it has a dust port at the back, and it does a brilliant job. It does a very, very good job. But I've also got a big slot across the back of this section here. This is actually an expansion box. And underneath there, that is connected to my big dust extractor. So I will turn that on first. And remember, while I'm using the machines, you're not going to be able to hear me very well. And that's something like crazy down the back there. Let me have a look. I might just get rid of that piece totally, where that screw is. Now that screw is probably 4 inches long. I'm going to come back from there around about 2.5 inches, just in case I put that screw in at a skew angle. I don't know if I have or if I haven't. All right. Now, can you see much dust there? Sliding compound miter saws are probably the biggest offender for making dust. Apart from my belt sander over the Valencia there, that's the worst. Okay, so now I've got this cut, and I know that I can select a really nice piece out of this because it's a crappy old piece of wood. You see me all right on the screen there? Cool. Okay, just doing a quick read through the things over there as well. So I'm going to cut a piece out of there because you can see where there's a bit of rot. Dry rot's happened there in the cypress. Now I've cut that out, this part out, and this will probably go in the bin or sent off to my daughter's place because she's got a fireplace for winter. And I'm going to run this over the jointer now to get it all nice and square. It has gone over some kind of a jointer before. Maybe I've done it with a power plane. It's got a lot of ripple on it, and it's not terribly square. So I'll do that next. All right, so you can watch what I'm doing as I do it. Down here I have 2 separate blast gates. I've got a blast gate up here and a blast gate there. My dust extraction system runs from the cyclone out to 2 mains around the workshop. One over the top here to feed everything there and down to the jointer, and the other one goes under the bench here that runs under the floor to the table saw, to the router, and along through here to the docking station for where the Capex is, and then all the way up to the end where my large panel docking station is. So I need that one turned off, this one turned on, running over to there, and then I can check along the line and make sure everything's open. So they're all closed over there. And now I'll take the camera for a walk over here. Past the Stanton bench. I love it. It's such a handy device. And then, okay, Carl, we've got a question here. Okay, Dave, TSO Products gave you a plug on your video and said, I got an email from him, thought it was very cool. Yes, now, you'll notice the TSO, if you've got an email from TSO Products for any particular reason, I'll tip this up a little. TSO did a fantastic thing. They sent me, well, they sent a link out to the Stanton bench. And, you know, I was over the moon. That was so nice. I clicked on the link and get this, it took me straight to an imposter's site. Someone has downloaded the video on doing the path guide systems, popped it up on their own site. This was 2 months ago and had maybe 40 views. My video has had 68,000 views on how to do it from 2 months ago, which I'm so happy about. But no one's going to see it because somehow the link from TSO products went straight to this imposter site. Obviously, I got in touch with YouTube and I said, someone has pirated my video. They killed the video straight away on this imposter site, and they'll probably get a strike against their name as well, which isn't good for them. So that's just a bit of a warning as well for people that might want to do a dodgy on me. You know, it's not worth it. I'll find it eventually. But I'm upset that it's gone bad for TSO because they're trying to do the right thing for me, but just unwittingly it went to the wrong site. Now, they sent me an image this morning saying it had gone to the right site, but you know, when I clicked on it, no, not there. My video is still there. So here we go. We're going to run on this guy down here now, which is my jointer, which I absolutely love. And again, we'll do all the safety gear. Bring this over and this over. Now, someone asked me a question this morning also on Facebook. I'll try and address a few things. They asked me a question about the action cam that I have, that I use on my earmuffs and also on this here. Is it a Sony? Yes, it is a Sony. It's a lovely little camera. I did have GoPro. I sent the thing back. I wasn't happy with it. I preferred the Sony. No one's given me any dollars to say that. It's just how I preferred it. Now, how's the sound coming through, guys? I've got my air filter on the floor at the moment because I've been moving all of these lights around. I moved the air filter off the roof for the moment. And yes, everyone's saying that thing about the... yes, my CapEx is 240 volts. I'm trying to answer questions up there as well. The saw sounds what? Much stronger. Oh, it's a strong saw. There's nothing wrong with a 240 volt Capex. They're beautiful. I understand you guys in the States have had problems with 120 volt. I don't know why. Go 240 volts and have gun laws. Ah, that'll get some questions going, won't it? All right, where were we up to? I'll make sure the dust line is open. It is there. And I've got my jointer running nicely. I just have to flip it up. See that? This is not square. The jointer is. What have I got next? The remote for the dust control. So I'll turn it back on again. You also like the new format. Excellent. Here we go. You like this? I like it. So it's sucking through there, all the way down the workshop, down through this main, and in it goes. Everything's good. Taking, itch your nose, wide. Taking 1 millimeter. I was going to say. Now you may wonder why I didn't use the push box in that situation. Doesn't that jointer do a magic job? Have a look at that. I love this machine. It is beautiful. Now, the reason I didn't use the push box is because this timber has enough depth for my hands to be a long way away from the cutter head. If I was, for instance, putting a piece of timber that size through, definitely straight to the blocks, not a question at all. Now also, you'll notice that I had my hand on the back as I was pushing through. Same thing. Timber is tall. There's no way my palm could go down behind and give any risk to me cutting myself, because with a smaller piece of timber, it can drop down the back, and next thing you know, after as you're going over, all of that goes down there, up there, and then blood everywhere. You don't want to do that. So as I say, I hesitated for a second to use the push box, but because I wanted to keep this hard up against the fence to true it up, because it wasn't square, the fence is square, but the timber wasn't square, I had more control over the piece of timber by actually holding it better than I could have with the push box in that situation. All right, next thing to do is to dock it to length, and I've got to work out how long it's going to be. So let's bring it over here. Actually, let's do it up here on the Stanton bench, because I can. All right. Okay, it's a bit tough to hear you at times. I was like, okay, I think that's by design, so it doesn't get spiked by the tools running. Correct, correct. All right, now I need to push that back a little further. Let's bring it back to about there. Is that going to work all right? And tip that up. There you go. You can see what I'm up to now. It's a bit more like it's one of my standard videos. Dave here, how are you? Alrighty. Excellent. You're loving the new format. That's great. Okay, now I'm going to use just a pencil and a marking gauge, sorry, a combination square, and a tape, and I think that's about all I need. As I say, these guys are the 20mm hole is what I'm going to use just to put them. There you go, straight away I've got a Stanton bench, horticultural bench now. There you go. I nearly broke into the tones of Alan Seal. He's a guy who used to do a gardening show when I was a kid. I actually went to school with his son, John. And Alan used to have this whistle every time he'd talk about something. It was Alan Seal, and we're talking today about special things to do in your gardens. Do you remember him? The people in Australia will remember him. He was a lovely person. Very, very quiet, very proper, just such a nice guy. Where was I? I'm going to measure this out. Need a tape. Got one over here. Well, we've got half an hour to go before we finish, and I think we're going to be fine. I'm having a look at what the timber's like there. I like the look of that, so I will work from that end. That end's still a little bit rough. This end's fine. Now, if we're going to have 20mm holes, that's around 16mm diameter. So I think about a 20mm hole, maybe 17. Should be good. Had a bit of a sore throat during the week. It's been terrible. On Thursday, a couple of gargles with salt water. It's amazing. Just disappeared. 10 of them. I'm going to alternate them. 5, 5. Let's look at coming in, say, 30. Now we have to allow for the top of the plant as well, because it's going to have a few leaves and things hanging out of the top. So I need to give each plant a bit of space. And I've got plenty of wood here, so I don't have to make it super tiny. I've got a piece of felt here that I'm going to use, because this will probably be used in the house. So I always like to put felt under, this is self-adhesive felt, I like to put felt underneath something. Just say Vicky pops this on the dining room table or on one of the bench tops in the kitchen. I don't want this to scratch anything. Itchy nose again. And so that's the maximum length I can have. Let's do it that way. Crazy world of design, hey? Line there. And I think if we come in, how wide is this now? This is 84 millimeters. So if I come in, say 25 either side, that might work nicely. Now, if you haven't done this before, setting up a combination square like that makes it very easy. Not doing it. So here showing date, but I remember that show. Yep, Laurie, new format is great improvement. Like the show today, and every child in Australia, yes, Sue Cottrell, late but here, Stuart Cottrell. Okay, good. So I'm going to scribe a line down here and down the other side. And so that's going to give me my center lines. Now this is basically just to show me how to lay it out. I'm going to set the drill press up with the fence at 25 millimeters back from the center of the drill bit. And so it will do these holes for me automatically. The main thing I have to do is work out the lengths here. So let's have a look at that. Let's say I've got 5 to do there, which means I might come in 40. Yeah, this might be the easiest way to do it. 40 will be my first hole, and then let's go 140, 240, 340, 440 is close enough there, so I could do 1, 2, 3, 4. I want more than that. So if I go, let's say, 80 millimeters, let's see how that goes. So 40 for the first one, plus 80 is 120. This is the beauty of metric. I love it. 120, and then 80 is 200. Get rid of that one, pardon me. And then 280. Get rid of that one. And then 360. And that gives me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, this is beautiful. And then that will, I'm going to start 40 from this end. I think I've got 80 left there. I'll tell you what, that's titty, isn't it? Ha! I'll actually make it, I'll make it 80. So we'll come back ever so slightly more than what's there. Open up the combination square. Now combination squares aren't horribly accurate, but they're very handy when you're setting something up. And this one, we will go 40 in, and then 80, and then back another 80. I'm not worried about creep on this one. It's just as it will be. I'll check there. Yep, done. All right, they're my centers. That should give me 10 test tubes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'll do a small circle around them. So I know which one is which. And now I get to do something interesting. I'm sure I had one here. I'll have to use the scratch oil. I was going to use the center punch and actually put dents in here because I want to sand this and I don't want to have any marks. So I'll use the scratch oil. That's leaving a decent enough mark. Now again, this is going to be, I'll keep my eye over here. Let me see what's happening here. John, he can't help it. However, better with time. Give me a look here. Has someone been trying to contact me and it's not coming up? You'll get better with time. Okay. Andrew, good old Alan. John Lafferty, I'd say you're showing your age, Dave, but I remember that show. New format is great. Liking the show, Dave. Every child in Australia had to sit through that show with the parents watched it. Yes, John, the best, Dave. I think it's better if you don't read the chat. Okay. Wayne James, Dave, you're not worried about the timber or touching the cutting leaves? The timber oil touching the cutting leaves? No, John, you can't help it. You'll get better with time. Now, I am going to do something here quickly. I'm going to have a quick check in here. And I see there are 2 messages. Now, this is, again, flying by the seat of my pants today. John, Wayne Jones asked, Dave, are you not worried about it? Okay. Good. Excellent. That's all working well. How cool is that? And I'm off the side of the camera. You can't see me. I'll put my hand out here. Oh, no. There I am. You can see me. Why is that not showing on the screen? Oh, I am. I'm working shrink down windows here. I'm struggling to see what's going on. I need the chat. There it is. I've seen combination squares from $10 to 100. Do you think there's that much of a difference? Yes, Sue, there probably is that much of a difference if you're wanting to actually use it as a square. If I'm using it just as a rough indicator to do a line that's pretty close to square, and I can use it as a marking gauge to do width, this little Empire one, I think it cost me $10 at Bunnings. You know, it does the job. I don't have a Starrett. A Starrett will probably be the best of all of them if you wanted to go down that path. All right. Smallest unit of extreme action should be renamed as Stanton. Okay. Howdy you all. G'day. Peter Woolworth. See, look, I am saying hello here and there, but we're doing a project. Okay. Okay, so this is not going to be oiled, Wayne. I'm going to hit this with wax like I normally do. Cypress pine also has got a funny thing. It's got a natural toxin in it. I used to build house frames out of this stuff all the time because this is not affected by white ants in Australia. This is one of those timbers that's got a natural resistance. In the heartwood, the sapwood is the stuff around just under the bark. It is affected by white ants and it will decay. But the heartwood, I'll tell you what, stays for years and years and years. And as I say, natural toxin. If I got a splinter out of this stuff in my hand while I was doing house frames with it, it takes 6 months to heal. Unbelievable. All right, let's dock this bad boy off to length. I've got the new spot there that we're going to. And we'll swing that around here, switch that off, switch that one back on. Bring the camera over so you can see what I'm doing again. Oop, caught the lead. Oh, what a shame. Caught on my push stick as well. Okay, so you're all enjoying the new format, eh? Cool. Earmuffs, and remote. All right, so in the background, you may hear my room air filter. Okay, you can see the lasers. That's the line I'm going for. Got it. Now you heard my dust extractor. Let's turn that big one off. Did you hear the little shop vac style Ryobi dust extractor still kept running and running and running while the laser light was on? The laser was basically telling that machine, I'm still going, I'm still cutting. Now, that's one of the reasons why I don't like that. And it's very noisy, and that's one of the reasons I'm looking at getting a CT26 or a 36 to put into this system. It's designed to work with this. It will turn off as soon as the laser turns off. If the laser's on, it will still turn on and off automatically. All right, next thing. You like both formats, do you, Angler? All right, where am I up to now? I'm taking this thing for a wander all over the joint, aren't I? All right, we might do some finishing. There we go. Got this big boy. Right. You like both formats? Okay, sorry, Dave, but I love it when you get... I can't read the rest of it. I love it when you get... there we go. As I say, can't read the rest of it. There's probably not the rest of it there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to give this a quick sand. I'll give it a quick sand with 120 grit paper that's on there. What I've done here, can you see that right? Possibly not. Let's turn it around this way a bit further. Is that better? Should be. Yep. Further back. How's that? That's funny. All right. What I've got here is the miter gauge that's designed for the linisher. Now this miter gauge you can lock. Now it locks itself into the track. So I can only pull that machine out with if I wanted to. Now I'm using that because this guy here can get very aggressive and pull like crazy if you're not aware of what's happening. Now we'll also be using this to clean up the end grain. Now I don't know if I'm going to get a better result using the paper or whether straight off the Capex. I'll find out because I haven't really done too much end grain sanding with this. The only end grain sanding I have done with it, the machine's grabbed hold of the piece of timber and it's a bit scary. So this one does throw a fair bit of dust. It all gets collected here, but it will still throw a fair bit of dust. So I have to open the blast gate there and shut that one down there. Right. How good is this that Carl is answering all of these questions for people as we're going along? I love it. This is great. It frees me up to get all the fun stuff done. Oop. Glasses. And what else? I need my remote. And again, I've got my room air filter down there powering away. Ordinarily, if it was a nice day, it's raining outside at the moment, or it's sprinkling. We get that a lot in the mountains. It's because it's our altitude. We get a lot of mist. We catch the clouds as they're going over. You know, there's a lot of people around the world, or especially in Australia, that could do with the rain at the moment. It's very convenient for me because I've just laid all that turf out there beside the fountain. So I still have to water though. It's one of those funny things. Okay, it's going to be a bit of noise for a minute. There we go. That's sucking there, beautiful. Okay. Bit of noise. Now that little thing there is called a belt cleaning stick. Now basically it's hard rubber, and you push it up against the belt, and what it does, it pulls out it grabs a hold of all of the sawdust and resin that's bogging up in the valleys between the points of the paper. The paper is still sharp, but if it's got all that rubbish caught in between the points, it can't actually do any cutting anymore. It's just glazing over the top. So I keep this near the machine. Often it's in the drawer underneath my bobbin sander, so it's always accessible. Keep doing it, then you won't get build-up. If you let it go too far, what happens is the resin will start to heat, and then it becomes a cow of a job to try and remove it. All right, what's the next thing? I've still got those marks in there, so I have sanded it all up, but you'll see just here, you can see these tiny, tiny, tiny little marks. That's where I'm going to be drilling. So I will highlight those again with a pencil line around them, but I've got rid of the lines. So let's move this guy down here again. And I can see what's happening down here. To there will be fine. Okay, I've got no idea what's happening on the stream, on the chat. Hi Dave Vancouver, watching a little late, but nevertheless here. Hello, Ian McFadden. All right, I am going to find those points. There they are. So one there, 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 and there. Are we going for time? 1:45. Look, I'm just going to keep on going on this project until we finish. All right, drill the holes. That's the next thing. So I'm going to move the camera over there to near where the drill press is. And you'll see, move that out. The drill press is in the corner over there, but I don't want to I can't quite reach it. Here's the advantage of having it on wheels. Mobile trolley, I can put it there. I'll lock the wheels, so I've got locking casters. I can see on that quite well, and push it back in there. Get the item I'm working on. Right. Now this machine, this drill press is 400 watts, approximately 400 watts. Maybe a bit more, 550. I think it's a 3/4 horse machine. Now I'm going to use my little shop vac, my little Festool dust extractor, whatever I want to call them. I'll pop it over here. Trying to accommodate everyone at the same time makes it a bit awkward. Now this, what I can do is put that in there as a dust collection point, and I might pop this around the other side without it falling off. Yep, putting down there. I can plug this in to a power point here. That's on. Then I can plug the drill press itself into the extractor. Now whether this is going to do anything or not, goodness only knows. Now the next thing to do before I get too far with hooking up the rest of the dust extractor is get the height correct. Now you'll notice here, I don't know if you can see up on the top, I've got glued a rare earth magnet onto the top. You'll be able to see it there. And that holds my Allen key perfectly all the time. Before I glued it down with super glue, it was half the time it would come off on the key, half the time it would stay there. So I've put it up there. Now I've got the speed set to the fastest speed it'll do. And I've got this guy here. I'm going to be going down to the depth of the jaws there because I've measured the distance. It's going to still leave a little bit in the base of this. It's not going to go all the way down. Now I need to lower the drill press itself, or lower the table, so I'll release the clamp and then crank it down. That'll do. Tighten the table up so it doesn't wobble around anywhere. Release this little clamp on the back. And now I'm going to set it up so that my fence, which is worked by these two clamps here, is going to be at the point that I want. .25. There, beautiful. Now it wasn't an accurate position that I was looking for. I just grabbed 25 millimeters. But you know, once you've started, you may as well stick with the size that you've suggested you're going to do all the way through. Now that's going to work for that side of the run, and when I spin it around, it's going to be the same on the other side as well. How cool is that? I love it. Now, am I a weirdo to enjoy this kind of thing? I don't think so. I enjoy it. I love it. All right. Now I'm going to put the clamp on the back here. About there. Now that lever clamp is going to be my best mate. It's going to be holding this for me. One more click. There. How's that? What do you think about that? Now, I'm going to slide it back ever so slightly so it's not actually touching there. It's going to get some of the dust. It's not going to get all of it. I'll turn this light on. Whoa, look at that. Hardly worth having, it really is. All right. I'm not going to wear the masks this time. I'll wear the glasses, and as I say to people, these are polycarbonate, so it doesn't really matter too much. And we should have good speed on the drill press there. That's still not, and it's very quiet in comparison to what happens. The dust extraction down the bottom is going to be pulling everything. Let's see how we go. Didn't work too bad, did it? So now I have a very, very, very clean hole there that will take a test tube. Now I'll show you how it's going to work. So it will live in there. That much will be covered. Now, why am I concerned about that much being covered? That's the area that the roots will be. So I want the roots to be in darkness if we can. I'm going to take that hole down just a little bit more. I think I can afford it. See, that's the kind of depth I've got at the moment. So I'm going to go down a little further. So it's nearly time. We're still powering on. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to get all of these holes drilled today. But I do want to finish this off today, so I might keep working on this afternoon. But I'll take this hole down to that point there. That's it. And we'll do the next fun part. We'll set the router table up, if you guys want to hang around. Tip this down ever so slightly to about there. Marty, long short story. TSO graciously sent an email to customers contact. For which someone hijacked the site and the link pointed to the wrong place. Yes, that's correct. It is a bad story. Right. You like my belt cleaning stick, eh, sir? There you go. Alright. Now, this is my router. I've got a 3/8 cutter in place, or round over. And you want to watch this? Okay, a lot of people like watching this part. So if I slide that down to there, make sure it's connecting. I think so. And raise. Up it comes. This is a Triton router. Take it down ever so slowly. About there. Lock the clamp. Got it. And it's turned on under there, which is fine. And in here, I have the safety. Now this little guy here, if that is not in the switch, and I'll pop it around this side, maybe it's going to be easier to see. Down around about like so. You'll be able to see how it works on the table. So down here is my switch for the router table. No one can turn it on. I've got grandchildren and I just make sure this is out of the way all the time. If I put that in there, see that? Works very well. So I'm going to do a little bit of a round on the top and the ends. I will wear this because this thing does go very fast, and I'll put these on as well, and we'll switch the dust extraction to underneath. And then close that off. Open up the router table slot, shut this one here. People say that there's a fair bit of mucking around that I have to do as far as opening and closing ports, but you know, it's not a lot of work. It's not too hard at all. How easy is it? How convenient, I should say. I did a video on doing this drawer. If you want to see it, go back through the videos. I might throw a link in the description box when the show's over. But it works beautifully. All right. Now, I do not want to do the bottom with this. I'm only going to do the sides and across and down either corner. So I will do across both corners to start, and then I'll do my run down here. Remote. Now that is working, but give it time. Now you'll notice there was a little bit of dust there, but there's not a lot. Now the other thing, let me turn that up a little bit. Okay, now the other thing, when I was doing that, you notice that I was approaching the router cutter from the right-hand side of the cutter, the left-hand side of the article I was working on. The reason being, it turns counterclockwise. So I want it to be working into the cutter, not running with the cutter. If I was running with the cutter, it'd be like having a saw blade turning the wrong direction. It'd grab hold and pull it through. So you notice on the video that I did yesterday with the bobbin sander, it turns the opposite direction, turns clockwise. It turns this way. And you know, it's just keep your thinking cap on when you're going from one machine to the other, because you have to work from the other side. I did work from the right-hand side on the bobbin sander yesterday, but that was only because I was into a part that was a long sweep, and I was using the bobbin sander to act that side to help me be aggressive in the sanding. If I got near the tip, you have to go from the other side, because it will flick before you know what's happened and drag the finger in, and even though it's sandpaper, it can give you a nasty cut. It will sand your skin off. Okay, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? How's the fires and the drought? We don't have it yet. Matthew was looking at that, John. I'm wanting to create my own static deadman in my existing bench. Hence, I'm looking for the T-slot and clamp only. Guys, if you want to get the cam clamps and things like that, I have put links in the description box to the Amazon affiliate thing that I do. So if you go in through there, by all means, grab them. I've done it for all 5 or 6 countries, I think, that I affiliate with. In Australia, if you want, you can get these things from Carbotex. Not a problem. All right, let me go over to the... No, you know what? How about we do the felt? And then that'll be everything. So there we go. That's not looking too bad, is it? It's nice and round. Forget about these little holes here. That was a little test that I was doing years ago. That will add a bit of character to it. Just a chunk of timber, cypress pine, white Australian cypress pine. And I've got to get it finished, otherwise Vicky will rouse on me. So the next thing, take it back over to the Stanton bench. And we'll put the felt on. If I come back to about there, is that going to work? Turn it down this way again. I think I'll come in closer. We'll just do a close-up shot of actually doing it. There. All right. Can you see that all right, guys? I'm running past. I don't care. I've got to get the job done. If you want to take off, by all means, or you can hang around while I do the rest. So this is the section that we had written base, and I want to put the felt on there. So when I do felt, I just let it hang out the edge. Don't... Let me come down here somewhere. Feel like... The plane, Mr. Rock, Mr. Rock, the plane. That too, it's okay. I talk some rubbish. Okay, so I used to get into a situation where I'd try and cut the felt first and then, you know, work it in, but it was just, it was a pain in the neck. So I let it hang out, and I used a steel straight edge and a Stanley knife, and I cut it. So here we go. I'll just do that. Glasses, of course. You can understand why I don't do peeling it off first. Here we go. Gotcha. There's a film. Can you see that? There's a film on the back, and you've got to be careful as you're peeling off the backing paper you don't peel the film off as well. Now, I'm going to pull it to about halfway, so then I can steer it as I'm putting it on. How's that? Get rid of the air bubbles. You can hear them underneath. straight edge. That one's not going to be long enough. I'll use my Gros meter rule. I won't use Peter's half sticks, otherwise he might get a little upset. And a knife. It's just my Stanley knife. I don't care whose brand it is. It will. It's a knife. Come in. I like to come back in a little bit from the edge. There we go. Okay, moving on me. This is reminiscent of when I made the pencil boxes. I'll straighten the end up. Getting a bit deeper. Felt is fun to work with. In this situation, I drag the knife along. I could use a chisel for this part. But the fact that it's upside down and hidden will be your friend. Spin it around this way. And we'll do the other side. There. And there. That looks pretty good. And the other thing is, be careful the knife doesn't start to follow the grain underneath. You do have to be forceful with the straight edge. That's not there. I don't think I'm going to worry about that corner too much. I will just nip that off. How good is that? Facebook, John, Andrew Winter, where did you get the felt craft shop? No, I got check this up. I got the felt from Carpetech. You guys remember that I work part-time. I work a few days a week for them because I get to hang out with all the toys. That's why I do it. So that's why I bought that. You can also buy the flocking for doing inside boxes and the glues and all that kind of stuff there from them as well, if you wish. All right. So how does that look? You know, obviously it's got to do a little bit of a clean-up. I'll end up drilling the rest of these holes. You can see they're going to alternate. Can you see that all right down there? There we go. That's better. And I think that's about it for the day, and I'll wax it. I'm going to also do a quick little round over in there, and there you go. Okay, guys, I think that'll do us for today. It's gone an hour and 10. So, do you like the new format? Do me a favor, if you like the show, give me some thumbs up. Come back for the recording if you haven't seen the show. Even if you have watched the show, come back for the recording and leave a comment, because the comments that go into the recording actually stay there. All of this chat disappears. As soon as I turn this off, it disappears. Sometimes I am lucky enough to catch it. But if people put up comments, what happens is that will initiate a response from someone else, and maybe they'll throw up a comment as well. And it all helps the ratings. but it also helps the other people that are watching. So thanks again for watching, and I shall see you all next time. And let me see if I can turn the show off from this position, and I should be able to. And I will see you